Stream.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Take 12 podcast. This is day 2 from TerrIFICon, live from the floor at TerrIFICon, August 8th, 2026. The doors have been open for a while. It is busier already than it was at this time yesterday. Still very hot outside here in Uncasville, Connecticut. And we have a special guest with us today who is on Zoom, and he's been gracious enough to give us his time this morning with the overseas time change. So this gentleman's name is Carl Toop. So Carl played the alien warrior in Aliens. Now I have to tell you, Aliens for me is very special. I remember as a small boy, my sneaking out of bed and watching my mother watching Alien on TV and sneaking around the corner and seeing, you know, the incredible.
He was much smaller, if that's possible.
I was smaller, but I remember being so impacted by that. So years later, I'd find out that Alien was my mother's favorite movie of all time, and so we kind of had that connection our whole lives, and that also cemented me being able to write smart, intelligent, strong female characters in all of the projects that I've ever created in my entire life. Years ago, we did an Aliens fan film, so we kind of got that out of our system. It was nice to kind of play in that world. But Aliens has always been a big part. I remember we went on vacation in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, in a small vacation house, and they had 4 VHS tapes to watch. One of them was Aliens. My brother and I watched that on loop all weekend long. We would just rewind it and just play it again from the beginning. Know all the lines, all the words, all the characters. So the Aliens world is very comfortable, and it's great. And especially knowing that Carl was that alien that popped up out of the water, which is just one of the scariest things. My scariest movie to me is Jaws. Having a childhood fear of the ocean and sharks doesn't help at all. So when they put a Xenomorph in the water, that is just terror on steroids for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Take 12 podcast, Mr. Carl Toop. Good morning, Carl. How are you? Thank you so much for giving us your time. We appreciate it.
Sounds like you had a good upbringing, from.
Honestly, Carl, I feel bad for people sometimes when they, tell me things that happened to them or their childhood. I was blessed with 2 parents that supported everything that I just told you about, with the exception of my aunt, who was an incredible woman. But we grew up down Cape Cod every summer, and we were 150 yards from the ocean. It was just a straight walk to the ocean every morning. And one summer she decided, she goes, you know what, you and your brother should watch this movie called Jaws. And scarred for life, didn't go into the water till 15 years later. Not a joke. But so movies have always been a part of my entire kind of DNA. I think you're kind of born to do what you're supposed to do. And luckily I was able to have people in my life that supported that. And that's why we're doing this today.
That's great.
So please give me a little bit about your background, how that came to be, and how you got paired up with the Aliens world.
Okay. Well, my mother wasn't quite into horror films. She was more into the musical. So that's what I was brought up on.
Okay.
So the film that really got me going was Hello Dolly. She took me to the cinema one day, and I watched Hello Dolly with her. And I just thought that was amazing. So I wanted to dance. That was my passion. That was my aim. And like you said, we were all made to do something. And that was what I felt I had to do. So my parents weren't exactly behind my choice, but I decided to go ahead with it anyway. So I paid my way through dance college, did 3 years training at college, about 7 years training all in all. And then I went on to the West End in London, which is like the theatre land or Broadway equivalent.
Right.
And I was doing West End shows, TV shows, and that. And then I was doing a play called Jumpers by Tom Stoppard. He used to film. I think he did Brazil. Very weird play it was, but I was on wires going across the back of the stage as an astronaut. So that was one of my roles in the play. So my agent phoned me up and said, "Oh, they're looking for people that can do wire work for Pimentel Studios. If I wanted to go along." So I thought, well, I've got rent to pay, so I'll just nip along and see if I can get the job. And so we'll go along to Pimentel Studios, and there are about 200 other people in the studio wanting the job.
Sure.
So, oh well. No chance of me getting that. So I went along with it anyway because I've never been into the film studio. So I thought this is it's going to be a great experience anyway, whether I get the job or not. So I went in, we did it, and the instructions were move like an alien. So
that's it.
What do you do?
Yeah.
So and to be honest, I don't know what I did. I can't remember what I did. I think the adrenaline had just kicked in. I thought, I'm here. Hollywood have come to us, because it was done in UK, the film, and my audition was done in the UK. So we did the first audition. They said, well, we're looking for about 12 people to play aliens in the film. So we'll whittle you out. And that got down to sort of the next 100, then the next 50. And then we got down to the fourth audition, we were down to about 20. And they decided to tell us that they only wanted one, because obviously budget limits has kicked in. So at that point, I just thought, well, there's no chance of me getting it. I'm just a simple dancer. You just come along for a laugh, really. So we did the final audition, which was I think we tried the head on, and we were moving around with the head, and still really not knowing what we're doing. We had no idea of how an alien moved, because in the first film we didn't really see how the alien moved. It was just flashes of it. So
right.
We had to create the movement. And then so they told us that they only need one. So they said, right, we'll let you know, we'll go home. So, once they've told you that, they think, well, that's it. No chance. And literally 10 minutes when I walked back to my place into the, indoors, the phone rang and my agent said, you've got the job.
Wow.
And that, I can't tell you how I felt that moment. It was, even though I went into the audition thinking, no chance of getting it, but I just go along for a laugh. Over the 4 auditions, my expectations were sort of really building up, and I just wanted the job.
Right.
And I got it, and I was just as amazed as anyone, that I got the job. And obviously, I did something right. I got the movements right. That's what they were looking for. Also, I was very thin in those days, so I haven't got the height. I'm about 5'11". So I haven't got the height, but I was very slim, and so they wanted someone slim who had the movements, and I obviously had what they wanted. So, and
I always love hearing people's casting stories because it seems to be a lot of fate involved, but also I would like to think that the right people that have already done the preparation and put in the work, that it pays off and it shows. So, and if you have if you have the right people,
I really don't know how I got the job. So it's sorry, there's a delay. So,
and if you have the right people in the room that are casting, they recognize the talent and they're willing to, to reward you with the job.
James Cameron was there for the audition, so I was obviously doing something that he saw, how he saw or imagined the alien moving. So I think he had a big say in the choice, and also there was Stan Winston there who designed or helped design the costume and the sets. So obviously he had his ideas. So I think they got together and just said, right, that he's got what we want, and let's go for it. So
we're
actually allowed me. Sorry,
go ahead.
Well, because I was doing a play, I was doing the Tom Stoppard play at the time in the West End, and I got the contract to do the film. And I said, well, I can't really give up the film because there was going to be a crossover. And they actually came together with 20th Century Fox, and I think it was Cameron McIntosh who was running the theatre, and they got together and it actually allowed me to do the filming during the day and then get driven over and do the play in the evening. So all that came together as well, and it just, everything just worked, and it was meant to be, I think.
So even that level of collaboration is kind of unheard of. That reminds me of the Tom Selleck, Harrison Ford situation, where originally they were gonna let Tom Selleck be Indiana Jones, and then they went, wait a minute, who's making this Indiana Jones movie? Oh no, you can't. We're gonna keep you instead. And they sort of punished him because he wanted to collaborate with somebody else.
Oh right. Okay. Yeah.
It reminds me of the James Bond, type clause that they have where if you're gonna be Bond, like they said,
after Cannonball Run, they told Roger Moore he couldn't do any more parody films.
But Remington Steele, give me his name.
Pierce
Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan was going to be cast as Bond when they were casting for Roger Moore, but he thought he was too young.
Right. But after he did Bond, the Bond actors can't appear in tuxedos in any other movies.
Okay.
So when he made Thomas Crown Affair, he could only be in a suit and tie. It's just,
I suppose,
but the Bond IP is strict. Like and I understand that because I wish they did it in the comic book universe where you don't have multiple actors playing comic book characters in multiple films. To me, that gets a little confusing, and also it seems a little overindulgent. I don't know why they can't spread that around and get either fresh faces or other people to be in those movies and roles. So I'm infatuated.
My luck, I suppose, it was theatre and television, so there wasn't that conflict as much as two film studios going to battle together.
Right,
so
but so nice for people to try to want to encourage you to do well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, they came together to make it work. And I didn't think that I'd have any chance of that happening because I'm just a little old me dancing in the West End, not that important. So for them to do that to me, it was I was sort of taken aback.
So do you think because you were the first actor to create those movements, do you think that you informed all the rest of the other films as the blueprint for the movements?
Inspired.
I don't know. I hope I include some of them. But I think everyone's put their own. Like Tom Woodruff, he's put his own style into it, and Trevor Newlin, he's also developed the character himself. So yeah, but maybe they did watch me and the old guy, seeing what he got up to, and maybe taking something from that, which is a compliment. And also, if I created that, I suppose it has to follow on into the other films because it's a different actor, the creature's still the same. So they need to keep some of the movements similar.
So I would imagine they're going to talk about rebooting Friday the 13th and getting a new Freddy Krueger and things like that. I imagine whatever actor is going to come in, they're going to, and I know it can go both ways. An actor can say, okay, I'm going to do what Robert Englund did and kind of mimic those movements and the actions, like any guy that steps into the Michael Myers suit or the Jason Voorhees kind of the walk and the posture and things like that. But I know a lot of times actors like, nope, it's going to be a fresh look, or I'm going to do this, or but I wonder if there's a lot of and it's not pickpocketing either. It's just, I think if you've seen something previously, it's hard to get it out of your head to not try and do that. And I know for myself, we used to do these Batman stunt shows every year at Halloween. And this is when they had the 1989 Batman mask, which was just straight, could not turn the neck or anything like that. And the minute you got the cowl on and the cape, you couldn't turn your head. So you had to do the Michael Keaton head turn. That's all you could do. And when you would walk, that's the posture you had. So
I was going to say the costume limits you to certain movements because the head's the same size, the costume's roughly the same size. So that guides you in a way, but then also you have like Trevor Newlin. I met him a couple of weeks ago, and he's like a meter higher than me. So obviously his body movements are going to be slightly different. He's got longer arms, longer legs, and it's going to create a different effect. But like the head movements, that's going to be roughly the same. The costume does play a big role in it.
So speaking of the suit, I got a whole series of suit questions. So I've owned a production company for 24 years. So I have the largest military and law enforcement prop rental company in New England, which means
anytime they make movies in Massachusetts or New England, if they need guns or SWAT team gear or sheriff's department or special ops equipment, we have a whole warehouse full of that stuff. So I dress people in equipment and, you know, a lot of the, like what I call tactical tailoring, which is putting on the tactical vests and making sure there's things in pouches. So that's very detailed wardrobe stuff. But I always
fans are very into that. The detail, they really know the detail. You know, it's I've seen them with the Marines. They know what arms they've had. I know nothing about guns, but the fans know every detail about their weapons.
More than you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be right.
And so, I mean, even seeing some of the Colonial Marines here today walking around, people cosplaying as Colonial Marines. You know, and one of our guys, Eli Ellis, who is a graphic designer who does a lot of our graphic design work, his suit was made by a company in England, you know, and then he got the armor from somewhere else, and then we got it in Massachusetts, and we, you know, distressed it and you know, beat it up and things like that. That was like a 6-month process to get that to look, you know, as close as we could get to screen accurate, but it's important to people like us.
Well, you talked about you know, setting the tone as the suit actor.
Yes.
And you know, you've talked to Brendan Wayne before, the man in the suit for the Mandalorian, and the whole idea that he shot all of the Mandalorian suit scenes in advance, so he ultimately had to teach Pedro Pascal how to walk.
Right. And so like a quick bit about Brendan Wayne. There's a great shot so he's the grandson of John Wayne. And there's a great shot in The Mandalorian. They do a high crane shot kind of pulling up, and Mando leaves the town. He's walking down like a dusty street. It looks like the end of High Noon. It looks like the end of 1,000 Westerns. And he walks exactly like his grandfather. You can tell when it's him, and it's either Lateef Crowder, who does the like the physical like the fight work, like the karate scenes and stuff like that, or the martial arts scenes, I'm sorry. So you can tell, but again, there's, you know, 50 cosplayers here at this event. You can see them mimicking all those same movements, and there are some cosplayers that do it much better than others. Mm-hmm. And when people do it accurately, it's a whole package, right? It's like when you see a Jack Sparrow impersonator, costume looks great, can't do the voice, or you see a guy that's got the voice perfect, but his boots are from Amazon, or you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of components that make it all together and go to work. But of course, the guy in the suit, it comes down to what he's got and what he can put into it, I think.
Yeah, well, I think you're getting it right. When doing a sequel to any film, it depends. Everything's got to be so right if people are going to not criticize the performance afterwards. You know, so I had my costume, I had my movement. So people maybe are relating those movements to how the alien warrior should move them. So when you do the third film, like Tom Woodruff had to do, you know, people are going to criticize it because it's not their memory from the second film.
Correct.
So, you know, the detail in the costume's got to be right. The detail in the movement's got to be right. But also, I think you've got to allow some individualism into it as well. So it's very difficult to get that balance and make the fans happy, because the fans just know every detail. They know, you know, I've seen the film a few times. But they, you know, watch it probably once a month, and they know every single detail.
Right.
So, whoa, it's you know, and they do get upset if it's not. You know, people do criticize, unfortunately, if it's not good enough. And even though the actor's put in his best performance that he can, and it's you know, it's a good performance, they do tend to compare to their original idea of the creature or the actor. So
right.
It's a tricky one to do.
And I really think you're having that dance background, and apparently having such a strong dance background, made you kind of just know how your body moves a little bit more, so that like when you're in an odd shape, you know how to, like, how it would move a little bit more. So you had a bit of a leg up there. I mean, I'm sure there were other dancers that were pulled in for this as well, but
there was quite a few stunt guys pulled in, and I think they're good for doing the actual stunts, but the movements, they're a bit more muscly and they're a bit more rigid in their movements. So generally, I'd be the front guy getting the first movement, and then the stunt guys would be doing all the hard work behind me. They'd be jumping off. You know, I was on wires jumping off as well, but they'd be doing jumping without wires, jumping, you know, into, you know.
They're used to taking the bumps, and they know how to take the bumps, but they also needed somebody who knew how the body would work, and who wasn't a doctor.
I was the initial image, and then they did all the hard work behind.
They helped you make. Yeah, they helped you make it look good.
So it's always amazing. So when people put on like tactical vests, they have these like bullet resistant trauma plates that go in the front and the back. Now we can put in foam trauma plates in all different thicknesses, so because it gets hot. But a lot of actors, like when they come in and see the props and stuff, like, no, we want these to be heavy. We want to like feel the weight and all stuff. Like, okay, and then we load up the vest, and sometimes you have to put counterweights in the back of these plates, because if there's all the gear in the front, it goes down in the front and then rides up in the back. And they're like, well, how can we fix this? And I said, well, we need to put weight in the back so it'll even itself out. So then you drop weight in the back, and then they're like, halfway through the day, can we put in the lightweight foam? I'm like, yep, sure, guys. I brought them. I brought them. But a suit actor like you or the stunt guys, they're just they're feeding them through tubes, and they have catheters.
I was playing certain. There's one scene when I come down and grab Dietrich, and I was put on my harness, so that's crushing all my family jewels and whatever. Put in the costume, and I'm set into the background of the scene. So they put me in here, and I'm in a really weird position, but I'm just hanging on these wires, stuck in the set, and they're deciding to then set up the set to take Dietrich up, and it took them about 45 minutes to an hour. But no, I just stayed there. I didn't say a word. I said, I'm not going to say anyone. I'm not going to disrupt everything. And I just suffered through that for an hour. And they said, right, let's go. And then you just go into action.
Did you lose feeling in your legs?
I lost feeling everywhere, not just my legs. But yeah, because you've stiffened up. Because you warmed up, you think, it's only going to be about 10 minutes. So you warmed up to do the movements.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck in that position for nearly an hour. And it's a tough one. But I just didn't feel I was in a position to moan. I just thought, I'm so lucky to be doing this. I just suffering.
And that's the thing. So, and I think I know that this really exists. When you're on a set, obviously there's a hierarchy that you can feel every day, right? And now, so dealing with prop weapons, which has changed a lot in the industry, especially after the Alec Baldwin situation and stuff. People are so much more aware of what's going on. But here's the thing: people aren't really allowed to speak up on a set if something's wrong or unsafe. So that has to change in a lot of ways, because if an extra is taking out their gun from their police holster and which they do, and they're twirling it around, and then I hear them in the background, they're falling on the cement, so like you tell everybody you can't play with them. They're not toys. If they break, the production company has to pay almost quadruple to replace them. So they're not toys. You can't do that stuff. But if an extra fools around, you can tell them. It's okay to tell them. But if you walk up to the lead and you say, okay, here's your weapons and stuff, and they start screwing around, or they're dry firing the guns and stuff, everybody just expects you not to say anything, and that's wrong. That's wrong, you know?
But like you said, I think things have changed.
Yeah, and I understand when you're like, oh shit, I'm so happy to be here. I booked like 10 days. I booked 10 days on this, this big movie in Boston. I'm like, I just got to stay here and suck it up. I can't say anything.
In my costume, I couldn't have toilet breaks. Once I was in the costume, I could have done probably if I'd begged. Once I'd been taped up in my costume, I had my feet on, the hands were on, the head was strapped on, everything was on. I just thought, I've got to be ready for when they call me. I can't not be ready. And then if I need to go for a bathroom break, they have to untape me, take all the whole body. So they hadn't thought, which is a design error, if I must say, Stan Winston. Bless him.
Yeah.
They didn't put a zip in.
So
that would have made my life a lot easier, but no, they didn't.
So it's incredible. So first of all,
you're probably unable to hydrate because you're totally worried about what's going to happen. So a couple things come to mind immediately. So Michael Myers, when he was played Fat Bastard in Austin Powers, they put a catheter in him, and his wife had to be on set to help him empty the catheter whenever he had to go to the bathroom. That's insane. 2, all of the guys who have played Batman, the suit actors, starting with Michael Keaton, I think the last guy who had an attachment to go to the bathroom, I think, was Ben Affleck. But you had to go through that many variations of a Batman until they figured out how the actor could actually go to the bathroom, which is funny. And I'll say Stan Winston, a legend, an absolute legend, to build a full-scale animatronic T-Rex, right? And the Terminators and the everything else that he's ever done in his history, and they can't figure out how to make a hatch and a crotch so somebody can take a whiz. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's not their priority.
Because it's not them. That's why.
Exactly.
So let's speak just some logistical questions about speaking of that, like in and out of the suit and stuff like that. So how many handlers, if any, did you have that would assist you to get in and out? And
they're probably about 2. Yeah, probably about 2 I had in the morning. So I used to go in about 5:30, 7 to get ready, so that I was ready if ever they needed me. And because some days I'd go in and I wasn't needed. There'd be some delay in the shooting, so they'd call me back the next day. And so I'd been in 8 hours in costume for nothing.
Still paid.
But sometimes, if they could see if things were going late, they'd like to take my head off. So that would be easy. But,
So I always tell my wife about this very strange thing that happens when you put people in costumes in just on a movie set. I don't know why. So you can take a normal person, they can walk in, they got jeans on, they got a t-shirt on, they change into tactical pants, a shirt, and they put on a tactical vest. It's a funny thing to watch that they're incapable of doing normal basic things that they could do when they walked in their normal clothes, like bend over and pick stuff up, right? Or sit down in a chair. Like they can't figure out, the stuff that's on their utility belt, and they crash into things. So I told her, I said, I call it the suit of armor effect. When they wear like a tuxedo, it's like they can't bend at the waist anymore. They can't, reach for food and things like that. And I told her, I'm like, this is a real thing that happens a lot, and it's funny to watch. So once you get people suited up, you got to have someone kind of watch, what they're doing or where they're going, or if they need to go up a flight of stairs and things like that. So
I had a week beforehand to get used to my costume, because the head, I had to relearn the dimensions of my body.
Yeah.
Because I had a meter-long phallic thing stuck on my head. I had hands. I had fingers, which were 8 inches longer than my own. My feet were 8 inches bigger than my own. Then I had the rib cage. I had the pipes at the back. So I really had to learn how to my new dimension, so that I wasn't knocking other actors or the set in my head. There's one scene I was doing with Pharaoh, and in the cockpit, and I had to grab her from behind. And I kept banging my fingers onto the screen at the front, so you could see there were rubber fingers. So that I had to relearn that. So there's a lot of it's a silly movement, but I had to be careful doing it. And you have to really relearn the whole way you move your body.
So were you able to have an earpiece in so people could hear you over a microphone, or were they just shouting through the mask?
Just shout.
Unreal.
And oxygen didn't exist in bottles in those days, apparently, because when I was the water scene, oxygen was around. So obviously that's not around in those days. Health and safety wasn't really a big feature then. It was just get the job done, and that's it.
So speaking of health and safety, speaking of health and safety, especially on that set, so the place that they shot it in, wasn't it filled with asbestos, or it was some sort of a super dangerous environment that you were in?
That old stuff, yes. No problem. What happened? We filmed in an Acton power station. It was a disused power station. They gutted it out, but I think to clear asbestos, it's quite an expensive job, and there was sort of a few square feet of asbestos to clear out.
Okay.
So I think it was just left in, but also it was getting very old, so there was probably dust flying around, which I can't remember being told about. Yeah, and you know, the actual acting power station, it was damp, it was cold, it was a really dingy place, and the atmosphere you see on the screen,
Sure,
is that's how we were feeling on the set. You know,
Yeah.
it was great actually, because it's, you know, it just added to our how we acted and how we moved and everything. It did help us a lot. And what was amazing, they managed to really recreate exactly the same thing in the studio, which, well, it amazed me. It's probably in the film business, it's quite normal, but it just amazed me that from the acting power station going to the studio, you felt like you're in the same set. You know, there was no difference apart from the dingy, wet atmosphere and the asbestos flying around.
so I assume you did the water tank bits in the soundstage.
That was in the studio.
Okay, and what was that process like once they said now we have to put them in water?
Well, they say never work with kids, but I was so lucky to be working with Carrie on that one, Dave Newt, because they warmed the water up for us. So if it had just been me, it would have been cold water.
Of course.
You know, none of the hot water stuff. So we got in. It was nice. Probably dimension-wise, I can't really remember. It wasn't that huge, the pool, but it was a metal pool. And I went in. They told us, right, we're doing this water scene with Carrie. We can't really rehearse it, but I'll just tell you what you do. It's fairly simple. You just go down, come up behind Carrie, and get scared. So yeah, okay, that sounds fair enough. Until I went down.
Nope, we lost Carl. Here he comes.
Am I back in?
Oh,
yeah,
you're back. Sorry, Carl. Okay,
Sweden was called.
Go ahead.
And I had to go down, lay down, and because of the water was only about 2.5 feet high, because it only came up to Newt's chest.
Right.
I had to lie down horizontally on the bed of the pool,
and then turn your long head on the side.
Yeah, right down, so everything was hidden.
Okay.
And it just filled up with water, which, you know, was logic. You know, we hadn't thought about it, and it was quite logical that would happen. But the problem was the head was actually sitting on my head. So the leverage I had to bring the weight out with my neck and my head, I just couldn't lift up the head. So I must have been, my cue to come up was James Cameron tapping on the side of the pool, and I'd come up, and then I'd come up behind Newt and scare her. I didn't come up for must have been about 30 seconds, and I'm panicking under the water.
Right.
Eventually they sent someone in to sort of drag me out. There, what's going on? Sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry. And so, you know, what's going on? I said, well, sorry, my head got stuck.
Yeah, I'm drowning. That's what's happening.
Drowning, yeah, that's no problem. So they said, oh, no problem, just stay there. So they just stick the side of the helmet, so that when I came up, the water, there was the weight of the water was just released straight away. So there was no friction, I suppose, with the water. So that's how I did it. And the scene worked really well. We didn't want to rehearse it so that Newt would be scared and she'd scream and whatever. She was told to scream, and she could do very well. And so I came up, she turned, I came up at the right moment. It just really worked really well. And yeah, we had a great day's filming of that. Apart from that little problem, that's probably one of my best memories from the film, is working with Carrie and doing that film, and then seeing the results of it, which is great. And I'm still in touch with Carrie as well. I'm in touch with all of them, but we kept in touch, me and Carrie, over the years. So it's great, you know, to build that.
So like I said in the intro, still one of the most memorable and scariest bits, especially in that movie.
It's like you were saying, the kids are scared of it because there's water, there's a monster in the water. The little girl, you know, can see themselves as a little girl. And
yeah.
You know, you said you sneaked down to watch the film. Now kids don't have to sneak down; their parents are actually showing the film. You know,
so
6 or 7
it's so funny. So I have 10-year-old twins, boy girl. And this last week, from Monday to Friday, they took a video production class at our local community access television station. So they teach kids how to edit, shoot all their own stuff. My kids have been shooting videos since they were born. When they were 5, we started this YouTube channel called Twin TV, and it's my kids. They were 5 years old,
and we just did a fake news program, and I would tell them what to say and they would parrot it back. And, you know, because during COVID, so we couldn't see anybody. So we did anniversaries and birthday videos and stuff. It became so popular that people were asking us like, well, when are you going to do next one? I'm like, I wasn't going to do any more of these, but you know, we have nowhere to go. So what I'm saying is my kids are so well versed in, you know, how to do it in the language and stuff. So when I present movies to them, I give them the background of when the movie was made and what was happening at the time. And like, because so much of what they see has been done before. And I try to explain this to them, like, nothing that's you're seeing in movies has been done. It hasn't been done by somebody else. It's been done by a bunch of people before, because they'll watch a movie and they'll think that idea is original. I'll say, no. That's a joke from the Three Stooges. And these are the guys from the 1940s. So a few years ago, we introduced them to the Stooges. Now they can quote a bunch of the Stooges episodes and things like that. But just 2 days ago, I was explaining to my daughter, Charlotte, because she's the only girl in the class, and they were picking roles for this story. And I said, well, what's your role in the story? She says, I'm a waitress. And I said, okay. And I said, well, what happens in the story? She said, well, I'm a waitress and I come over and I give them drinks. And she goes, and then I get killed. I'm like, all right. I'm like, did you have any input in the story? She said, yeah. I said, well, you know, maybe you can go back tomorrow and you can say, hey, guys, I got a great twist for my character. What if I don't really die? What if somehow I'm the killer, like secretly the killer, and we do like a big twist ending or something like that? And I started to explain to her the importance of writing for strong female characters. And I pulled up a clip, and it was, right hand to God, this happened. I pulled up the clip of Sigourney Weaver getting prepared in the elevator and going down to fight the Queen Alien. And I told my daughter, I'm like, listen, this woman had no training. She was essentially like a factory worker who got thrust in with these Marines. Most of the Marines got wiped out. She had about 5 minutes of tactical training, and now she's going to go rescue this girl that isn't even related to her. She's just going to rescue this girl and save her. And I said, look how serious this character is, and look what she's capable of doing. I said, that's how you write a strong female lead. And, you know, I was just trying to impress upon her that, you know, you don't have to be a waitress in everything.
Yeah, I'm surprised she was actually cast as a waitress. You know, this day and age, you know, where did that idea come that they put her in as a waitress? Why didn't they put a waiter in? You know, it's still suffering from it, which is, you know, it's annoying. James Cameron, he really advanced the woman's role in film and their characters, and allowing Hollywood stars to be able to play badass. You know, it's which, you know, unfortunately, we're still not quite 100% there yet, but you know, getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just it's such a great movie to look to for so many different reasons. You know, the costumes, the effects, the practical stuff, and just the whole story and the legacy, and the fact that he could make a sequel that outperformed the original, which is super rare as well. Although he does seem to excel at being able to do that. I hope there's more to come in the Aliens universe. I really was hoping for that sequel that they were going to do with Michael Biehn again, and they had done the screen test with him with the burnt face. I was really hoping that was going to be a reality, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. Hopefully someday something else will happen.
In other people's hands now.
Yeah, exactly. So Carl, so what are you doing these days? I know that you get around to a bunch of different shows and things like that. Is there anything that you want to tell people where you're going to be, or what you're doing, or how they can find you in the future?
In a couple of weeks, I'm in San Antonio. I'm doing King of Horrors at, in San Antonio. So I'm going to have. Didn't prepare for that question. We're going 4 other people from Predator, and there's going to be me in the middle of them all. So that's going to be a good battle there. I'm just doing conventions at the moment, so just keep an eye out on the convention news channels. And so I'm actually a chef now, so I'm slowly winding that down to do more conventions. So I just love the convention world. I think it's a great place for people to be. It's a safe place. People can be who they want to be, and without anyone taking the mickey out of them, or you can just go to these conventions and just be yourself. You know, even me, I'm pretty introvert. When I'm at conventions, I just love. I become someone else. You know, I can actually go up on the stage in front of 1,000 people and speak. Whereas, you know, in my home life, people don't even know that I was in the Alien film. You know, where I live.
Right.
So it's good. But for me, it's two completely different worlds, and I'm loving it.
Yes.
Amazing.
It's comfortable to be in an environment if you're a creator or performer where you're amongst like-minded individuals, which is the reason we started this podcast. All these people here that are with us, these are people that we shoot commercial projects or creative projects with on a regular basis. So being able to do this, you know, having a creative outlet to do it is fantastic, but also being in groups of people. We had a guy come up on the stage yesterday that we interviewed who's a comic book creator, and he said, I've seen your booth every single year that you've been here, and I've watched you guys grow and get better every year. And to hear that feedback from people that you appreciate because you know that they're in here grinding it out with everybody else is it just feels good, you know, to be
the support they give you, the people that come to these conventions. Like, you know, I've had so much support. It's amazing. I'm just a man in a costume, but you know, like, you know, Dave got me onto the show with you, know, which is, you know, it's nice of him to think of me to come on and do this, you know, but that's how it works all in the conventions. They're not fighting against each other. Everyone's fighting for each other, which
right.
I think is great. There's not many places in the world we can go to now and feel safe, be who we want to be, and just see people having fun like that.
So I will tell you, so personally working with Dave, and he's brought so much to our organization. I mean, he's done physical work for helping build. Thank God I had him last week. He's an incredible artist and a craftsman, but also being a suit performer, watching him for so many years, going to events with him. As I said, the suit of armor effect, when he gets in this full Grinch costume that is yak hair head to toe with the full Grinch contact lenses, and he can't hear what people are saying, and then you got to kind of, you know, follow him around all day long and make sure that he's, you know, interacting and not bumping and crashing into things. He's 6'5". So when he gets in that green costume, he looks like a monster. And it's even scarier when he does Freddy Krueger. But the best part about him is, and I remember this as a child, we went to a comic book. These college kids were having like a comic book like festival, not like a Comic Con, but they would do like a stunt show and things like that. This is back in like 1982 or something like that. And you could get dune buggy rides with costume characters. And my dad and I rode a dune buggy with Batman. And I remember sitting in my dad's lap, looking at this guy who's dressed like Batman. Of course, the 66 Batman, Adam West. And right below where his cowl and his suit met, it was open about like this, so you could see about that much chest hair, and he had a gold chain, right? And I looked down, and my eyes went down to his feet, and like I say, you're born to do what you're born to do. And I looked down at his feet, and he had black sneakers on. I'm like, this ain't Batman. This isn't Batman. So, you know, when I see Dave dressed like Freddy Krueger, and he's got the right boots, and he's got the hem of his pants frayed and gross, and he stands there and he clatters the long razor fingers. It's just, and he gets the mask taken care of, and he gets it refreshed and repainted. The level of detail that people put into it is exceptional, and it's so great to be around people like that, you know, that do it and take care of it. And you're right, it's a great community to be in. And I thank you so much. There he is. There he is.
Who's that man? I recognize him.
So thank you, Dave. Thank you, Dave, for hooking us up with Carl. This is great.
Thanks, Dave.
He said thank you, and then he said put it on the there you go. He said put it on Tom. That's what he said. Carl, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you setting this up and talking to us. Like I said, it's so cool to connect with somebody who scared the bejesus out of me as a child. Still works today, still holds up. So thank you so much.
You're always welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Carl. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Man, That was so cool. Thank you, Dave, for hooking that up. I appreciate it. Yeah, so here we are, day 2. I think that was a long one, but it was a good one. Well, yeah, 47 minutes. That's great.
Oh, yes.
So we'll be here live all day today. Stay tuned for more today. What do we have coming up today, folks? Anything decent? Indecent?
I don't know about that part of it, but we've got the very interesting TARDIS guy who builds a TARDIS out front that you can actually walk and stand inside of.
Caitlin, I'm not sure we can say TARDIS anymore. It's 2026, but you know what? We're gonna have plenty guests on today.
That's what I can't say.
It's gonna be a jam-packed day for us here today. The floor is open. People around. The smells are happening already.
Perfume.
And we'll be sharing the some recent fruits of your labor.
Yes,
with the guys from Can't Go Home.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ. The Can't Go Home TV guys are going to be here today. Tommy Mariano and Chris Byers, our actor, producer are going to be here today to talk about their new TV show, Can't Go Home.
Dreamscape Publishing will be here.
Dreamscape Publishing is going to be here. Chock full day. A day chock full of comic goodness and entertainment. So please stay with us throughout the day. Continue to watch the live stream on our YouTube channel at Take 12 Podcast. Follow us at the Take 12 Podcast on Instagram or anywhere your podcasts are sold. And after the show, these will be all up on Spotify and Amazon and wherever you listen to Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts while you're aimlessly driving to your next convention. So thank you so much to Dave Hogg. Dream Killer cosplay right there. Hog. Oh, it's Haig? Like the Haig? Oh, I was convinced it was Hog. You know, I think we intentionally mispronounced it so long it became that, like Terrificon.
Terrificon,
right?
Terrificon.
Uncasville, Connecticut.
I'm sorry. So as from Thomas Pimentel to Dave Hogg. So Dave Haig, Thomas Pimentel, Fritz Williams, Caitlin Williams from Take 12 Podcast. Thanks everybody. We will see you again. And that is that. We'll see you again, guys. Thanks. Bye.